Nikhilesh sir, please begin.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and I welcome our resource person and seasoned journalist, Mr. Prashant Thakur, for this webinar. I'm sure this webinar is going to be really significant, because considering that Mr. Prashant Thakur has experience of more than 15 years in journalism field, and especially he is part of Press Trust of India, the news agency, premier news agency of India, and he'll definitely give insights how a journalist has to write, the ethics, the codes journalist has to follow, and I'm sure students are going to benefit immensely from this. Prashant sir has been my immediate senior, and I have learned a lot of things from him during our professional days as well. So on behalf of Parul University, I'm really thankful to Devanshu sir and Parul madam and Provost sir for giving this opportunity to host a webinar for our students. And on behalf of Parul University, I welcome Prashant sir for the webinar. Yes sir, over to you.
Hello everyone. Can you see my presentation, the first slide?
Yes sir, we can.
Okay, so I'm Prashant. I'm working with PTI as a senior reporter since 2014, and before that I was with DNA newspaper for nearly 4 years, and prior to that I was with ISRO and other ETV Gujarati also, so in audiovisual medium. So now today's topic which has been given by Nikhilesh ji is writing for news agencies. Now how news agency writing is different from a newspaper writing. Since I haven't worked with other news agencies, but I know something about them also. But mostly I will cover how we write news stories in PTI. So let me go to the second slide. So first, which are the major news agencies in India and abroad? So the first is PTI. PTI was established in 1947, started working in 1949. So the Press Trust of India basically caters to the entire, you can say entire world, not only Gujarat or India. So why a news agency was needed? I will give you a simple example that a newspaper in Punjab, say for Punjab Kesari. So Punjab, what if Punjab Kesari need a news from Chennai or Kolkata or Gujarat? You know, newspaper cannot afford to appoint reporters in each and every city and each and every state. So likewise, what if New York Times want the news from Gujarat? So the simple solution was to create a news agency which can cater to everyone. Definitely, it may sound that it's a charitable organization, but it is not. Every news agency, including PTI, charges money to distribute news to newspapers, news magazines, news channels, and now this digital medium, the portals. So PTI covers almost 90% market in India for the domestic news. We also cater to foreign countries. We have reporters in major cities across the world, including New York, Washington, and other countries. Now the second is UNI. UNI is United News of India. It's a small agency, and another is IANS, Indo-Asian News Service. ANI, I have written ANI as an exception. Why? Because ANI is basically into providing video service. So if you are a news channel and you want videos, like if you want, recently there is a flood-like situation in Anand, in Borsad. So ANI guy will go there, it will record the videos and send you. But nowadays it has started giving news for the newspapers, or you can say portals. So they are also into print, you can say. Another last three which I have mentioned are international news agencies, which are also active in India. First is AP, that is Associated Press, then AFP, that is a French agency, Agence France Presse, and last one is Reuters. They are not that much active, but they still have their guys and photographers in India. So now let me my mobile on silent. So how to write news? So this is the basic question. Whenever you join a news organization, you must know how to write news. Now, I am not, at this moment, I am not talking about how to write news in a news agency. I am just talking about a plain, simple concept, that is a classical concept of writing a news. So I have taken this paragraph from, obviously from Wikipedia, but it applies to everyone. That in journalism, the inverted pyramid refers to the story structure. Most of the important information is presented first. The concept of 5W and 1H that we have learned in our journalism days from the Faculty of Journalism. So what should appear in the first paragraph, or you can say in the first two paragraphs at least, the intro paragraphs. The who, what, when, where, and why, and how. So what happened, who was involved, when it was happened, where, why it happened, and how it happened. So it should be at the start of a story, followed by supporting details and background information. So this is a classical journalism concept that we all must follow. But let's see, I will give you some example. So this is how inverted pyramid theory works. The most newsworthy information. People don't have much time. You write 1,000-word story, and you cannot expect people to read each and every paragraph and a word and then remember it. You have to just make it concise. And in today's changing world, and news are consumed through mobile phones. I will give you one example. Yesterday in Rath Yatra coverage, I met a very good friend from Rajasthan Patrika. So Rajasthan Patrika has a circulation of more than 10,000 in Gujarat also. It's a Hindi newspaper. But they don't publish any newspaper or any edition in Uttar Pradesh. But now the thing is the digital version, the Rajasthan Patrika app, it is so popular that it has surpassed even the printed newspapers in Uttar Pradesh. So it is number one. So, but in that you have to put the major information, the major chunk in the first paragraphs also. That is, now it has become more relevant. This theory of, putting the most newsworthy information in the first few paragraphs is now more relevant in today's world. Because in the newspapers you have 16 pages, and you can put now remaining part on the third page. So so you can write n number of words and paragraph stories in that, but now things have changed. So
interrupt you, do you think that people are consuming news fast, though 5W1H importance has grown more in recent times? Do you mean to say that, sir?
Yes, definitely, because I have personally experienced it when we came out of our faculty way back in 2003. I did my internship in Indian Express for 1 month. Though I haven't joined print media after that, but I did 1 month internship in Indian Express, and at that time nobody told us that you have to follow this inverted pyramid thing. You have so much of space there. At that time there was a special edition for Ahmedabad city also, City Express, Ahmedabad Express karke naam tha. So we are free to write long stories, and it used to got carried. Even we used to get bylines for that also. But then now what I am seeing is print and newspapers, their space is shrinking. Divya Bhaskar, let me give you example of Divya Bhaskar. Just go to their website, divyabhaskar.com, or just download the app and you will realize, you won't realize, but I think just I'm telling you that it has become, even in the financial terms, they are putting more efforts in that app than the newspaper. They have initially they used to take stories from the regular Divya Bhaskar reporters and put it on their app. Now it has grown leaps and bounds. So now you have only one mobile screen, so you cannot expect people to just scroll down and read the entire story. You have to be concise. So now this inverted pyramid has made a comeback. That is my observation, and I think if you follow it from the beginning, it will help you in the new world. New world means after 10-15 years, I don't think so that there are many people, maybe due to COVID also, many people have stopped newspapers subscription. They have stopped reading newspaper in the physical form. They have now started reading on mobile phones and through apps. So this is the inverted pyramid style that will help you to write for in the new format also. So let us come back. And so that is most newsworthy info: who, what, when, where, why, how. Then some more important details, and then general information or background information, which you can avoid also. If you are in a hurry or you have a limitation of 250-200 word story style, then you can skip also in the current scenario. So let me give you one example. I have a story written recently. A simple example. I think on June 22nd June, I have written the story that Amul MD, Mr. Sodhi sir, he met with an accident. So now read the first paragraph. RS Sodhi, Managing Director of India's leading dairy cooperative, which market product under Amul brand, sustained minor injuries in a road accident near Anand town in Gujarat on Wednesday night and was admitted to a hospital. So now this paragraph and the supporting paragraph, that the car in which he was traveling turned turtle after hitting a divider on Anand Bakrol Road at around 9 p.m. Say Deputy Superintendent of Police, Mr. B.D. Jadhav. So now what I have said, that 5 Ws. So what happened? Accident happened when the time has been mentioned, 9 p.m. Where? On Anand Bakrol Road. Who was involved? Mr. Sodhi was involved. And how it happened? That is in the second paragraph. That the car has turned turtle. So I have answered all the 5 questions in these 2 paragraphs. So that is how we write. And this is a typical agency style. And another thing that I have written, say Deputy Superintendent of Police, Mr. B.D. Jadhav. So this is a very important aspect of news agency, particularly PTI, that we have to attribute all the information to an official. In newspapers, you can skip that. In many newspapers, you won't see names of officials. They would have written a police official said. So in PTI, we cannot do that. We have to be confirmed. We must have a confirmed news. Even we have a Stringer in Anand. Stringer is not a reporter. They help us and we pay them a minute fee. So he called me that Mr. Sodhi met an accident and this happened. So I said, but we need a quote. So any official is saying this. Bole yaar, police inspector is very busy. वो थोड़ा time लेगा. ठीक है, all right. So now what I did, I had a number of Mr. B.D. Jadhav and I called him. Sir, ऐसा कुछ हुआ है? Yes, it has happened. So then I could write this story. Otherwise, even though I have visuals, I have Mr. Sodhi being taken to the hospital and his car turned turtle, but we cannot write. So that is another aspect that we must have a quote.
Prashant sir, just to interrupt, why quote important? As a journalist, why quote is important?
Yes, quote is very essential. It is we have to authenticate the story. PTI as a new, or in general any news agency, you are not writing for yourself. Your news will be taken by thousands and thousands of news outlets. It will be flashed on TV. So you may see on TV that हिंदी में कहते हैं पीटीआई के हवाले से खबर. पीटीआई के हवाले से खबर का मतलब ये होता है कि भाई जो पीटीआई, what PTI is saying is authentic. It is not by fluke or it is not by sources or whatever. So quote, we have to take quote. So you cannot rely on what is going on the TV or what is being said by people. You have to put efforts to get quote, to authenticate your information. This is also good for you also. Someday if something happens and somebody calls you up that bhai aapne ye you have whatever you have said was wrong. Well, aapne kahan se liya, kisko pooch ke liya? So in that case, you can say that yes, I have called this and this collector, this and this IG or SP or police inspector, and he told me. So this is for your personal benefit also. It is good that you are at a safer side, and as a responsible news agency, it is a general practice, and without quote, there won't be any stories in PTI at least. So that is the thing. And it's not just for, I'm not telling you.
So in news agencies, that means in news agencies, if you want to write a story, report,
I'm not able to hear, but I think you are asking that what if we have to carry a story without a quote, right?
In news agency, hello.
I think there is some disturbance.
Okay. Now am I clear?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
In news agency, without quotes, you can't run a story. Correct?
Yes, we can run a story, and that I have covered it in the later slides. I will come back to that. Okay, so next slide. I'm going one by one. So what you have said will also be covered in after a few slides. That what if we have to cover a story without a quote? So the next thing is, so now inverted pyramid story. This is a very good example, a recent story in Indian Express that, Mahila Sarpanch, a woman Sarpanch was asked by Education Minister, Mr. Jitu Waghani to remove the gungat, the veil, at a public function. So now the same story, the story was in Indian Express and then it was in PTI. Now you can spot the difference. I can zoom to the first two paragraphs. The headline reads in the Indian Express newspaper, drop veil, minister tells Sarpanch in Gujarat, Mehsana. That was the story on June 23. I will focus on the first two paragraphs. Okay. You can read the sari. It is a very, there is no inverted pyramid here. The sari veil covered her face as Meenaben Jhala, the first elected woman Sarpanch of Rantej village in North Gujarat, Mehsana district, stood on the stage. Now, this is the first paragraph. There is no news element in the first paragraph. A woman Sarpanch was standing, of Rantej village, stood on a stage. That is the first paragraph. She was tasked to hand over a souvenir, a framed picture of Bauchar Mata, the deity, after which the Taluka Becharaji gets its name, to State Education Minister Jitu Waghani. So this was the first two intro paragraphs. Nowhere here the 5W and the H theory has been applied, but they are free to do that. So that is my point, that newspaper writing is different. They have some liberties, they have the space, they have the liberty to make it a feature-ish kind of news article, but we don't. In agency, you have to stick to the basics. Now come to the PTI story of the same thing. This is the PTI story which I have written. You can read the first paragraph. A woman sarpanch from conservative community removed her ghungat (veil) after State Education Minister Jitu Waghani urged her to shun the custom at an event in Gujarat Mehsana district, an official said on Friday. The second paragraph, the 35-year-old woman Meenaba Jhala, who belongs to Rajput community, came on stage to present a memento to Waghani as part of his felicitation at Rantesh village on Thursday. The minister noticed that she was covered her entire face with her sari. So now, in the two paragraphs, the crux of the story has been given. Now, I have not put the remaining part of the story, but I'm just highlighting the fact that in agencies, at least in PTI, you have to follow the basics. That is, you have to give the key information in the first two paragraphs. So you can notice that here. Now I can. These are some writings on the wall, though they are not in physical form, but they we have been told and we are trained to follow this. That there cannot be cannot be any opinion or bias or featureish writing in PTI, at least in PTI or major news agencies. This is a very classical line we have been learning, that all accidents are tragic, come to the point. Now, why I have written this catchy line? Because, initially when I have joined, I was a crime reporter in DNA. So, I used to write in a tragic incident, a truck ran over 5 people, in a gruesome murder, a husband killed his wife. So this gruesome and, tragic, these things are not there in agency. An accident is an accident. We can have to just write that in an accident, 5 people have been killed. That is the thing. So you cannot write those feature-ish words that gruesome incident or tragic. All accidents are tragic.
Means adjectives are not to be used.
Yes.
Not,
yes. Yes. But yes, you can if the scale of the tragedy is huge, then you can. But I haven't came across any incident in which I have to write those words. Even if I have written, sometimes you got carried away. And recently I have used an adjective, but then when the story got released, I have seen that has been removed by the desk. So we religiously follow those ethics and those codes which are there since India's independence, because we came into existence since 1947. So we are following that. Next, so other things which I want to clear, how an agency writing is different from newspaper writing. So this is opinion. I'm now giving you example how we are not supposed to write any opinion. So now a story of Mr. Naresh Patel, the Lehua Patidar leader of Khodaldam. He has created fair amount of buzz recently, and then he said that I will not be joining politics. So now, how Economic Times covered that story? It was written by Mr. D.P. Bhattacharya, a very senior fellow. In here, Lehua Patel, Naresh Patel announced on Thursday that he will not be joining politics ahead of the 2022 Gujarat Assembly election, putting an end to months-long speculation over the matter and dashing hopes of Congress to attract votes of his community, at least in Saurashtra region. And in the headline, he has written, guided by Prashant Kishore's snub. Now, there are two, if from an agency perspective, he has added 2 of his personal opinions here, and which has been allowed by the newspaper also, because he's a senior guy, and but newspaper thought that, okay, we can carry them. First is guided by Prashant Kishore's snub. Now, what he is saying is that Prashant Kishore, who has refused to join Congress, and he was a friend of Mr. Naresh Patel. So first opinion, what he has written, that Naresh Patel was guided by Prashant Kishore's snub to the Congress. Now, since Prashant Kishore ने ना बोल दिया कांग्रेस को, तो नरेश पटेल ने भी ना बोल दिया. तो ये उनका खुद का, ये नरेश पटेल, he hasn't called D.P. Bhattacharya that see मैंने प्रशांत किशोर ने ना बोला तो मैं अभी अब नहीं join कर रहा हूँ. It was his personal opinion which has been carried.
Sir, had it been a friend of Naresh Patel or something, it would have been good or no? instead of guided, friend.
Ah.
Friend was used instead of guided. Then
No,
it is
what
okay.
he should have said that. Naresh Patel did a press conference. See, Naresh Patel did a press conference and he hasn't said anything about Prashant Kishore. So it was me who is, judging that, okay, Naresh Patel said no to politics because he was guided by Prashant Kishore's snub. So that was one thing. And later on, there is last 3 lines, dashing hopes of Congress to attract votes of his community, at least in Saurashtra region. So who are we to say that Congress was trying to attract Naresh Patel to attract votes of Patidars in Saurashtra region? So this is a classical case of opinion. You can write that in newspapers. You are free to do that. कि भाई कांग्रेस नरेश पटेल को क्यों लाना चाहती थी, तो भाई they wanted to attract Patidar votes in Saurashtra region. But that is something we cannot write. In PTI, my opinion doesn't count. We have to stick to the news that at present Naresh Patel has said no to politics. अगर मुझे कुछ और लिखना है कांग्रेस के बारे में, तो I'll give you my example. Now follows the PTI story of the same thing. PTI story. Patidar leader Naresh Patel drops plan to join active politics. After almost 6 months of maintaining suspense, influential Patidar leader Naresh Patel, who heads Sri Khodaldam Trust, on Thursday announced that he will not be joining politics as of now. Notably, Gujarat Congress was hoping of inducting Patel into party fold ahead of the state assembly elections to be held in December, and several rounds of meetings had taken place to discuss the issue with the senior party leaders in Delhi in the recent past. So this is the fact that, okay, Congress was keen to induct Naresh Patel and several rounds of meeting has happened in the past. So that is the thing. So that was the truth. That is what we have the evidence of. कि भाई हाँ ये इतना था, but उसके आगे जाके I cannot write कि भाई yes, Congress wanted to induct Naresh Patel for votes, so that could have fallen into the category of opinion and which are not allowed in PTI. So that is another difference which I'm trying to highlight here. So
means opinionated copies are not encouraged.
Yes, we have to avoid that. Unless you are writing a long form story, which usually comes from the senior guys in Delhi, they have the liberty because they have seen the world. They have, they might have access to the inner circles. So yes, if you are in a position to write, you can write. But what I have seen till now from my post from Gujarat, that we usually avoid opinions from our side. We can write others' opinions, but I cannot write from myself that yes, ये अगर नरेश पटेल नहीं आए हैं तो कांग्रेस को नुकसान होगा. ये I cannot take that call. At least in such stories, that is the major difference. Okay, we can.
Okay.
Next. Another example that let me come back, that no feature-ish writing. So now let me give you an example of Times of India. My dear friend Mr. Tushar Tere did an amazing story, and which has become an instant sensation about that Baroda girl who did sologamy. So now the first paragraph of his story. Yeah, I am very happy to finally be married. It started with a quote. Gus, the 24-hour bride, radiant in her red bridal finery and glowing from happiness and perhaps a little relief too, while flashing her shining Mangal Sutra and bright Sindoor on Wednesday. So this is a feature-ish kind of writing, and in a newspaper, yes, it is allowed, and it also looks good because there will be so many photographs supporting this, and you have ample space to write. But same story, how PTI covered. So in this, I have seen, I've shown you that there are no particular information in the first paragraph. There are no 5 Ws and house. So now PTI. So the plain truth. After creating a nationwide buzz with her announcement that she would be marrying herself, Vadodara resident Shama Bindu preponed the event and tied the knot with herself 3 days before scheduled date. She said on Thursday. Plain and simple that yes, what has happened and why and who was involved. That is the thing. So this is it looks very कि भाई अच्छा ये तो काफी सिंपल है तो आसान भी होगा. No. Newspaper ka the writing in newspapers are actually it allows you to use your creativity, and if you know any decorative words, you can use them, and you can play with the imagination also. But in agency, you have to stick to the facts, and you have to write it that according to that inverted pyramid style. And sometimes, and I have personally felt that it is more difficult to be simple. You have to put all the facts in the first 2 paragraphs. It is, there are so many things happening that, the girl is marrying for the first time. A sologamy marriage is happening for the first time in the country, and the neighbors, there is a pressure from the neighbors, there are pressure from other groups, and she has preponed the wedding, and there are so many things, but still we have to put everything in the first 2 paragraphs. So that is the challenge. When you read it, it looks very simple, but it's actually very difficult. So that is the difference. Now, next. Now, this is very important. No source-based stories in news agencies, at least in PTI. So, what is a source-based story? You can hit a jackpot if you write source-based stories like this one. Now you have seen in Maharashtra that Mr. Eknath Shinde, who has left for Guwahati with 40 of MLAs, Shiv Sena MLAs, and then created a nationwide buzz. So now, before Devendra Fadnavis came on camera and said that I will not be the CM, it will be Mr. Eknath Shinde who will be the next CM of Maharashtra. So, but before that, 3 days back, before that happened, that official press conference happened, I think 2 days back happened, somebody in Northern Belt, in a Hindi newspaper, somebody wrote this piece. I think Ravish Kumar has tweeted this also, that Shinde ko CM bana sakti hai BJP. And then it starts, भरोसेमंद सूत्रों का कहना है कि. Now there is a catch. अब ये इन्होंने अपने भरोसेमंद सूत्रों के हवाले से जाना कि भाई शायद एकनाथ शिंदे सीएम बन सकते हैं, ठीक है, बट ये स्टोरी पीटीआई नहीं कर सकता है. दैट इज द डिफरेंस. अगर ये स्टोरी गलत, अगर कल को बीजेपी एंड शिवसेना वुड हैव डिसाइडेड ओके फडणवीस विल बिकम द सीएम एंड नॉट मिस्टर एकनाथ शिंदे, so nobody will call this newspaper or this person, भाई आपने तो गलत लिखा है. Nobody will do that. But what if PTI do that? अगर पीटीआई ने यही स्टोरी किया होता कि भाई अकॉर्डिंग टू सोर्सेस एकनाथ शिंदे could become CM, and what if he wasn't made the CM? So by that time, PTI story would have been published in all the major newspapers in India, across the world. It has been carried by all the news channels, all the portals. What will happen to them? They will be in a fix because they relied on PTI. So if they are relying on PTI's credibility, then PTI cannot rely on sources. That is the plain simple truth. There is a catch, but I'll come back to that. Another example, I'm telling you another example. There was a story in 2011 in DNA newspaper. I was at that time I was with DNA newspaper. Anandiben Patel may be the deputy CM of Gujarat. Now somebody in DNA came up with this idea that let us do a story, a source-based story, saying that Narendra Modi, at that time he was the chief minister, may appoint revenue minister. At that time she was revenue minister, Anandiben Patel as the deputy chief minister. It never happened. Anandiben Patel never became the deputy CM. She directly became CM after 2002. So DNA was at the liberty to publish such stories, source-based stories. a source is a dicey word. You know, if somebody covering Gandhinagar Sachivalaya, and you know, if he listens two persons talking, अरे भाई ऐसा लगता है कि शायद आनंदीबेन को बना दिया जाए, and now you say that okay, these are my sources and I want to write that, and editor says okay, you can go ahead. So it is their problem. You know, PTI cannot do that. What if PTI may have done this story? चारों तरफ से फोन आते हैं कि भाई ये क्या है, ये आपकी क्रेडिबिलिटी है कि भाई ये ऐसी आप स्टोरी कर रहे हैं. So that is the underline that we cannot do such source based stories, but there is a catch. Give me a break. Now what is that catch? Next slide. So recently there was a huge drama when, you know, several Maharashtra MLAs came to Surat and they were then transported to Guwahati in chartered flights. So we are under immense pressure. You know, these political developments, there are no one to, you know, pick up your call. Nobody will tell you that what is going on. It's a very secret operation by the BJP or Shiv Sena. And you cannot expect that, okay, I will dial CR Patil and he will tell me that, हाँ भाई ऐसा है कि वो आए हैं और हम उनको भेज रहे हैं. कोई ऐसा नहीं कहेगा. So at that time, you have to rely on the people can be considered as source, but still they must be credible. So now what we did, the story, we have a stranger in Surat and we called him up कि भाई ये ऐसा है कि there are several MLAs who have, you know, left Mumbai and they are now in Surat, and some channels are running that they are on their way to Guwahati. Now we need to confirm it, because, you know, PTI has to give stories, because since everyone was running the story, you know, there is no compulsion for a television channel to, you know, cross check the claims. They can simply remove the story if it is not true, but they are at the liberty to run the story कि भाई हाँ 5 MLA आए हैं और वो जाएंगे. But you know, if that doesn't happen, nobody will sue you in the court. They can run away with that, but PTI cannot do that. So we were in great trouble कि भाई ये how we will confirm कि भाई ये लोग हैं और ये लोग गए हैं. So now we called, you can see the story that we have said, sources said. So since there are no one to come forward and, you know, give a quote, official quote, we have to write sources said, but we need to authenticate that thing. So what we did, we asked our stranger to get passenger details. Every airport will keep a record of passengers which have left from Surat. So he applied his sources, he called them up in airport, and then he WhatsApped us the list of those MLAs who have boarded a chartered flight, and they went to Guwahati. So then we have written the last line, as per the passenger details accessed by the media. In here, media is PTI. No one takes such pain. It is the PTI who has to take this pain. कि भाई यस, हम जो लिख रहे हैं, हम जो बता रहे हैं आपको, वो ऐसे ही कोई सोर्स हमारा ऐसा नहीं है, वो एक ऑथेंटिक, वी हैव द पैसेंजर लिस्ट साइंड बाय द अथॉरिटीज, एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटीज, और तभी हम ये लिख रहे हैं. तो दैट इज हाउ, यू नो, अगर आपको सोर्स को कोट करना है तो यू हैव टू ऑथेंटिकेट. सो दिस इज द डिफरेंस. नाउ नेक्स्ट, so some of the points, general points which we have to remember if you are working in a news agency. So in political stories, the first is always give both sides an argument. Allegation. So actually allegation word is a different meaning, but what I wanted to convey is that if there is a press conference by Congress, that okay, that Congress want to do a press conference and they will level some allegations that BJP is, you know, involved in corruption and it is done by this and this person. Okay, so we have to cover that. So कि भाई हाँ ये है और कांग्रेस ने ये कहा है. Now what? In newspaper you can skip taking a counter quote or counter allegation by from the BJP, but in PTI we have to take both the sides. Then what should I do? I have to call up the spokesperson of BJP and tell him that by Congress is leveling such allegations. What do you have to say? What give me your official quote, and then we also carry that quote also. So there has to be a balance. One-sided stories we have to avoid. That is the first thing. That is obviously no bias. Bias means if a political party, say Aam Aadmi Party has come and we constantly skip their press conference. We don't cover their press conference for 1 month. So that is a bias. We cannot do that. We have to give chance to everyone. We cannot skip कि भाई हाँ नहीं जाना है जाने दो. आम आदमी तो अभी नया नया आया है क्या करेंगे. West that doesn't happen in PTI or news agency. We cannot be biased. Defamatory content. मतलब हम हमारी तरफ से ये लिख दें कि भाई ये Mr. this and this, Mr. Jagdish of this and this party was known to be a corrupt guy. Now, known to be a corrupt guy is my personal opinion. It's a defamatory statement. Who is saying that he is known to be a corrupt guy? It is me. So that is not allowed. No spelling and factual mistake. In my 8 years career, I think I have made only one mistake, and the repercussions are big. In agency, you cannot afford to make any such mistakes. Factual and spelling. I'll tell you one example. Former chief of ICICI, Ms. Chanda Kochar. When you say the surname said Kochar, but she puts extra H in her spelling or extra C. I didn't, I might be in a hurry or whatever. I have written only CHAR, Kochar. And after 2 hours, the story was released and it was taken by everyone. And then her office called up our office, Delhi, and Delhi office called our office in Gujarat, that how can you write a wrong spelling of Ms. Chanda Kochar? It was a serious mistake. So this is agency. This is agency life. You cannot be wrong even in spelling. Another was like I have written name of
proper nouns have to be, sir, that means proper nouns have to be perfect, designation,
yes.
Name, everything.
Everything we have to cross check. You cannot be, just I cannot write the BJP leader said. Mr. Rajni Patel, a BJP leader said. I cannot write that. I have to go to the website and check, or I can call the BJP office that भाई Rajni Patel का क्या designation है. So मुझे लिखना पड़ता है कि भाई he is the state general secretary Mr. Rajni Patel. So that pain we have to take. We cannot just write कि भाई हाँ आम आदमी party leader Mr. Isudan Gadvi. No. If he is National Joint General Secretary, then I have to write National Joint General Secretary Isudan Gadvi. So that is the difference. In newspaper, you can just write Isudan Gadvi, Aam Aadmi Party leader. So they can get away with that. But in agency, you cannot. So that is the thing. Credibility, keep records of what people say. Credibility, again, I'm repeating that the core strength of PTI or any news agency is credibility, because people are dependent on you. A Times of India story is meant for Times Group only. Nobody else will take it. But a PTI story will be taken by everyone. So credibility is a must. And for a safer side, many people don't, this is a suggestion for each and every reporter that you have to, keep records of what people have said. I will give you one example. What happens if you don't have the records? The first NDA government, 2014 to 2019, there was a union minister for culture. I forgot his name. He came to Vadnagar and he announced that the tea shop where Prime Minister Narendra Modi used to sell tea will be converted into a tourist spot. That was a bite he has given to some local channels there. So somebody sent me a video. Not video, somebody from that channel met me in Gandhinagar there, and he told me that Prashant bhai, ek national minister, central minister आए थे, तो do you want his quote on this? मैं कहा yes. तो अब वो that was in his camera. मैं कहा भाई उसने क्या कहा? बोले he said this. बोले अच्छा, मैंने I thought कि yes, it's an important story. So at the time that video was in his camera. So what he did that I have to have the record. So मैंने अपना मोबाइल लिया और उसका जो हेडफोन है, हेडफोन के बीच में वो मोबाइल दबा के I have recorded the that audio, that whatever announcement he has done. And later on I did that story कि भाई center is planning to convert Modi's that tea cabin into a tourist spot. Story got released, and guess what happened? I think PM didn't like it. He must have scolded the minister. Minister called our office in Delhi. कि भाई ऐसा तो मैंने कुछ कहा ही नहीं, आपने कैसे लिख दिया, आपने मन से लिख दिया स्टोरी. I haven't said anything like that कि भाई ये चाय की किटली को हम बना देंगे. So Delhi office called my boss here in Gujarat कि भाई ये प्रशांत ने स्टोरी तो किया है, but do you have the record? Yes sir, I have the record. बोले I'm sending you. बोले ठीक है भेज दो. I have sent the audio and it was okay. भाई हाँ ठीक है भाई. तो he told the minister that भाई हमारे पास ऑडियो है, आपके साहब ने वो बोला था और इसीलिए हमने स्टोरी किया है. ओवर एंड आउट, केस क्लोज्ड. अब हुआ ये कि ये चीज आई एम सेफ, आई वाज सेफ. भाई चलो मैं तो सेफ हो गया.
Keeping records is very essential for a journalist these days.
Yes, definitely. But in agency, you know, the thing मैं बताता हूँ इसके आगे क्या हुआ. तो ये खैर रिलेवेंट नहीं है, फिर भी बता रहा हूँ कि बाद में ये इतना मामला गरमाया. Now the thing is, this question was raised by a member of parliament of a CPI member of parliament in the question hour. He has asked a question, a written question in Lok Sabha, that his center is planning to convert Modi's Chai Ki Kitli into a tourist spot, and the same minister has to get up from the seat and tell the Lok Sabha that no, we are not planning. So that is how, that is the pressure we have, that, you know, our questions can be raised in parliament also. So you have to be very careful, and it applies to everyone, not just in agency, everyone, that just keep the records. You cannot just write it down, write it in the story and then say that, oh yes, I don't have the record. You are screwed and you can be fired also. So that is the thing. So next. So, okay, that came to an end. And another example of how crucial agency writing can be. In 2017, the chief minister was Mr. Vijay Rupani. He was in Surendranagar to unfurl the national flag on August 15, and he gave a speech. Now, there was a press release from the Chief Minister office, and we have written that accordingly. And in the press release, it was written that Rupani from the state said that it will take at least 5 years to solve Gujarat's water problem. So I think, so I thought, okay, it's an important statement. There'll be 5 saal aur lagenge to solve the water crisis of Gujarat. And the story got released. And it was based on the Chief Minister's office release. The PRO of Chief Minister has sent that release to everyone, and my story was based on that only. So now, a BJP Neta sitting in Delhi saw that story after it got released and said that, "Acha, it is impossible that our leader would speak such things." बोले ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं होगी अगर 5 साल लगेंगे. ऐसा कैसे उन्होंने कह दिया? तो he inquired. That was 11 PM. रात के 11 बजे थे. He called up Delhi office called Gujarat office कि भाई ये रूपाणी ने सही में ये कहा है, because यहाँ कुछ लोगों को लगता है कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. And then what बोले हमने, we have sent the screenshot कि भाई ये तो official CMO से आया हुआ press release है, it cannot be wrong. बोले नहीं, don't rely on those press release, check the live feed, the recorded video in any news channel who might have covered it. So we scrolled through the channels and we found that video of his speech in Sandesh TV's YouTube channel. And to our surprise, he didn't say that. What he meant was totally different, and which was interpreted by the information guy was totally different. Then we have to run another story. What Rupani said was actually this and not what we have written earlier. So from that moment, we have stopped trusting even press release of government. If possible, we just scroll through news channels or YouTube videos and listen to those videos, and only after that we write. Otherwise, it will be us who will be in the spot. So that is the crux of the thing. I think if you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you.
So the question is, so it is important that you get it from horse's mouth. Whatever information, whatever statement you want, you get it from horse's mouth. That is important. Correct,
Yes,
sir?
yes, it is very crucial. Because there are so many people who will rely on PTIs because of the PTI's credibility. Everyone say कि भाई हाँ PTI से आया है तो authentic ही होगा. ये जो the trust which has PTI has built, or any news agency, we have to keep that. Otherwise, there will be no difference between tabloids and agencies. That is the thing.
To some extent, that is applicable to every journalist because he builds a trust. People rely on his or her writings or reports.
Yes, it depends on each and every reporter, but there are instances when even newspapers are giving a free run to its reporters. I will give you one example. Recently, there are incidents where people from Mehsana were caught crossing Canada border, and they tried to enter the US border. A family from Mehsana also died while crossing the border. And after that, some youths were caught by US authorities while crossing Canada-US border. So they wanted to get it. So somebody from Times of India here has has written a story that this and this happened, and said this police officer, this police officer. They quoted without name. They have just said that police officer have said. Then we have to follow that story. कि भाई अच्छा Gujarat की police भी it is tracking what is happening on Canada-US border. Then let's check. So I called that reporter कि भाई ये किस police officer ने ये सब आपको बताया है. What he said? अरे भाई ये सब sources और वो family members ने बताया, कोई police officer ने नहीं बताया है. But the entire story, it went like, said a police officer, said a senior police official, and it got published. तो ये हर किसी को लागू होता है, वो बात तो सही है आपकी, but everyone follows it. वो मुझे doubt. There is another story.
Ethically, it wasn't good.
Ethics का देखिए, that is the thing that we have to follow ethics in agency, but they are. एक दूसरा story मैं आपको बताता हूँ. Times of India में आज से 1 साल पहले somebody, a senior reporter has published it कि भाई a guy from Ahmedabad paid 2 lakhs for a number plate having 007 in the end. 007 के लिए उसने 2 लाख 3 लाख रुपया पे किया. This story was factually wrong. Why? Because in current scenario that you have that HSRP number plate, you have only RTO will give you HSRP number plate. In that, there should be 4 figures. तो 4 figure में आपको अगर number 7 लेना है, तो they will not give you only 007. There will be 3 zeros before 7. Okay, so I cannot claim
07 fabricated story, you mean to say, completely
fabricated. तो 07 में मतलब क्या, तो क्या 007 कैसे हो सकता है? मतलब वो आपका जो उसका जो मशीन है, वो तो 3 आगे के 3 आंकड़े अगर खाली है, 0 है, तो वो पहले 3 आंकड़ों में 0 ही लगाएगा, फिर 7 लगाएगा. So you cannot pay anything for 007. It has to be 007. और कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं. You cannot claim for only 7. नंबर प्लेट पे only 7 नहीं आता है, आगे 3 0 आएंगे ही. Yet that story got published. So these are the things newspapers are doing, that they are free to do that.
As a journalist, it is really important that you be ethically correct. Not only at the same time you report the facts,
Yes.
not fiction.
Yes. True. That is true. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prashant sir. It was really nice talking to you, and I hope students will this must have benefited a lot, especially getting perspective of how to write for news agencies. I'm again thankful to Parul University officials, management, and our Dean Robbie sir for giving me this opportunity and bringing me on the board and giving this webinar on writing for news agencies. I'm thankful to all students for being present here as a participants. Thank you, sir. See you next time. And I wish you visit this beautiful university at any point of time, and will definitely students will benefit from that as well. We'll keep one
Definitely.
session on that.
Sure. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this.